Hello, welcome to the April version of the Sales and Marketing Rebel Workshop. It is held every first Tuesday of the month from 11 until 12 Central Time. So I am your host, Lisa Rabel, the founder, speaker, author, and chief storyteller at Rebel Girl Marketing, and we'll get to our guest of honor in just a minute. So what we're going to do today is we're going to be talking about TikTok and many other social media aspects and how it applies to your business. But the first thing I want to do is thank our sponsors. Without Bank59 and Quick Trip, I don't know where we'd be today. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being sponsors of the Idea Collective. So why do I call it a Rebel Workshop? First of all, I like the word rebel because quite honestly, the reason I call my business that is that I want you to think differently about marketing. I want you to Control-Alt-Delete your brain when it comes to what people tell you about marketing. There are ways to stand out that aren't in the common books you find in all the bookstores, which is weird because I just wrote a book on not listening to other books, but moving on from that. Now we call it a workshop is because you need a pen and paper. Because what I like about this aspect of when we do the workshop is that you walk away with tangible things to do immediately for your business. And it's very interactive. So that's why we call it the Rebel Workshop. And the reason we call it the Sales and Marketing is because we don't just talk about marketing, but we talk about how you use your marketing to sell and gain new clients. So that's the introduction for this. Now, our guest today is Kenny J, media executive, content strategist, marketing expert, and consulting partner at A&O&B. And I have all the names, but I'm not going to say them. I'll let Kenny talk about that. So who better to talk about Kenny than himself? So Kenny, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why this topic is so important to you?
I thank you so much, Lisa, for having me. And by the way, if you don't have Lisa's book yet, I'll put a plug in for you, Lisa. I bought the book on Amazon, and you should buy the book too. I am really looking forward to reading that, and you should be too. I did radio for a long time. We crisscrossed the country, corner to corner, and I landed in Chicago. 23 years after landing in Chicago and getting what was quote unquote my dream job in media and radio, I'd finally worked my way up to the top. You know, I'm just a Milwaukee kid who finally made it to the big city. COVID hit. 25 out of 30 of us got bounced very quickly because everybody stopped listening to the radio. And so I spent a couple years on the music marketing end of the business. So I worked for a record label. We launched a couple of albums in the country world, including Morgan Wallen, the double Dangerous album that he had out a couple of years ago. So I rode the whole roller coaster of radio and records and artist management for a long time. And then it just got to a point where I said, you know what, I need to go home. And I need to be back where I'm comfortable and where I know where I can have impact with business that, it needs help. It needs help. And so I'm a media executive. Our consultancy is 2 retired partners and 1 3/4 retired partners and myself, who primarily consult country radio stations in the United States and Canada. And so it gives me the opportunity to be home. It gives me the opportunity to stay home here in the suburbs of Chicago and keep my kids in a school, because my son was in 2nd grade at the time and had been in 3 different elementary schools already. And we were tired of doing the moving and grooving, and we were close to family, and Milwaukee's not that far away. And boy, the highway's nice that they got it all done through Kenosha and all the things. So we are here. I have a client list of about 40-ish radio stations, and they're all different. They're all different types of formats of music and media, but we help level up everything from sales to marketing, social media to personalities, research, you name it. If it has anything to do with your radio station being 1% better, or your talent being 1% better, we're in the business of it.
Excellent. So why is this topic so important to you?
This is the lifeline. You talk about radio, and Lisa, you said it early in this call when we were just connecting. You said, hey, I haven't listened to the radio for a while. Don't tell Kenny. That is a big challenge right now. It is a very noisy content world. And you think about the options that we had when we used to watch the old television commercials on Channel 24 in Milwaukee. And, we used to listen to Bob and Brian and Reitman and Miller and all the shows back in the day. We have a lot of choices now for media. And so it just, it is a space now that social media, us being able to hang a banner in somebody's living room is so incredibly important. And it translates brilliantly to us, because I'm a small business owner just like you are now. I'm in the business for myself. While I do have 3 partners, we all have our own business. We all are our own entity within the business. So we have shared employees and some shared resources, but really believe that social media, being able to hold the banner up for your target customer on a day in and day out basis is critically important for us being noisy in a very noisy content space.
Perfect. Because that's one of the questions I get asked all the time. It's so noisy out there. How do I make a difference? And so I love the fact that you said that, because that is one of the biggest questions I get from business owners. So thank you for asking that. Okay. Now, this is a question I ask every single one of my guests is, what does marketing mean to you?
Deliver entertainment and value, asterisk,
Okay.
drive customer action. That is the key. And again, when you think about the way that we need to do it today, it's not about being sold. It's about feeling accepted. It's about feeling like somebody helped you. It's about feeling like you've made a friend. It's about feeling like you're connected to a brand or a business in a unique way. And then, oh, by the way, I happen to have these products on the shelf that I need you to take a look at and buy from us.
I love that, because I talk about emotion all the time when it comes to marketing, because especially in the female brain, if you tie an emotion to a memory, it is burned in your brain. Just like people, like when you had an argument with somebody, or when something fun happens, you're like, oh, remember when we did this time? It's because you get the same emotion and it triggers a memory. Not that we're thinking about it every day, but I love the fact that you add emotion to that, because that's what connects people to other people. So
yeah, I just think of the old ways of, like, we were talking about some old television commercials when the call got together, and you used to think of, like, I remember my grandfather, he would turn down TV.
Oh, hold on. Stop.
You would think about the old television commercials and the old radio commercials that we were talking about early on in the call. And I can remember my grandfather vividly in the car. As soon as TV Lenny came on, he'd turn it down. He'd go right for the dial and he would turn it down. And it was that oversell. You think of, I think of it, whether it's talent that are on the radio trying to relate to you, or whether it's clients that are trying to write the right copy to impact your business. You don't want to be the guy that shows up at the party handing out business cards before anybody gets to know you. Have you met me yet? Hey, I got 10% off. Hey, I got a discount for you on my DJ service. Like, nobody wants to be around that person at the party that feels like they're selling them all the time. But if I get to know you and I know you do a really good job, and here's all the great things that you do that I learn about over time, when I'm ready to make that decision, you're top of mind, you're there.
Oh, exactly. I have 2 specific over-added people. One is a lawyer, one is a jewelry company, that anytime I hear the voice, I just automatically gets muted. I'm like, nope, not going to do that, which is great about the topic we're talking about, because it's all about strategic, how you do it strategically. So you're not that annoying voice in people's head, just like the song that's in my head all the time these days. But I had this epiphany yesterday. I realized that marketing is not just about what you talked about. It is, but I think what happens is that people stop realizing the strategy that comes along with it. And that's what we're going to get to when we're talking to Kenny today. We're going to talk about, like, is it a good idea? And if it is a good idea, just don't, there's a strategy to doing it well. And so I think what the 2 things that I love to talk about with marketing is, like, asking yourself, why do you need marketing in the first place? And the second one is asking yourself, who cares? And not like who cares, but more like, who's going to care that I'm saying this? So who's the target market, and are they going to care, relating back to the emotional aspect? Are they going to care what I'm saying about? Is it going to connect with them? So I kind of had that epiphany yesterday as I'm trying to create my own aspects of my marketing and talking, speaking topics. But what I really love about that lays really well to the foundation of talking about TikTok and how we can get in front of people. But before we get too far down the TikTok tunnel, oh, I like that. Before we get too far down the road on this one, let's address the elephant in the room. We've all heard that TikTok's not going to exist in the United States because it's going to get banned, right? We've all heard that, yes. So let's address the elephant in the room and talk about that, Kenny.
No, it's not going to get banned. And if I see you at the collective in November and it's banned, let's have another conversation, maybe rounds of drinks on me for the people that are on this call. Not everybody, just people that are on this call. But
it's being recorded, by the way.
So anybody that watches this later, no. But what I would tell you is, if you're not in the vertical video business, that really is the overarching conversation that you should take away from this. We're going to give you strategies for TikTok, and we're going to give you the baseline level to get going on TikTok and make it work for you. But if you think about this from a vertical video standpoint, you can film a vertical video and you could put it on Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, YouTube Shorts. There's going to be another competitor in this space in some meaningful way, shape, or form by this time next year. So by spring of 2024. You also can put the same vertical video on Twitter. So depending on where you've already started your marketing channels, you have an opportunity to impact your social media across the board.
All right. TikTok is not going away. You heard it here first. Okay, so how did you get started in TikTok?
We started using it a while back, and it's just a kind of that curiosity thing from a media standpoint of how can we hang a banner in somebody's living room, and we're always looking for the way. So before COVID, it used to be called Musical.ly, and I was doing a bunch of these Musical.lys that I would do them with artists that came into our radio station. I would do them with my kids. My son is 12, he's a hockey player. My daughter's 11, she's a dancer. I run marathons. Like, I would do this smatter shot of my life of everything that was happening, and I'd put it on what was Musical.ly at that point. We get to 2020, everything changes. I go into the music business and I start representing artists as brands, as entities. Like, you have a product, you have a business. If you are a musician and you are a singer, you are an entity. We have to wrap a marketing plan around what you do and content plans. And so we started doing content plans for artists. And so we really got curious. I just really got curious about TikTok and how it was evolving and how it was changing and how people were having success on the platform. So I went to two of the biggest artist managers in Nashville that I could find that were having success on the platform. And I'm gonna share my screen and give you kind of a pickup from where we left off.
Oh, wait, you gotta let me give you the permission first.
Okay.
So I've muted you and I've given you permission to share your screen. I am the host of the season. I'm telling you that right now. Okay, you're ready now.
All right. So I went to some of the biggest artist managers in town and got some of the tips and tricks and hints on what was driving it for them. And so I'm just going to flip my display here for you super fast. And here we go. Okay. So I'm going to flip it one more time. Okay. So at the retreat in November, we talked about how to get on TikTok, how to get started, what your reservations were. We answered a lot of questions, and there were a lot of questions that came out of that. But to summarize the 20 minutes that I had on stage in last November, these were the 6 pillars from the 2 artist managers at Nashville that were doing it the best. So these are the 6 words that you want to write down, that you're going to want to just go back to over and over and over again. So let's talk about how we really get into that whole process. A lot of times we're just really scared. And that's honestly what we think about. Hey, I don't really know what to do. I don't know how to market my business. I don't look good on camera. I don't know how to use the app. We come up with 1,000 different excuses on not to do it. And if you see the first one in pink there, it's just called start. It's as easy as that. You just have to start. And what's great about TikTok is not about being polished and all of the great videos that you can do with a big, multi-million-dollar camera setup. Some of the campaigns that we did for artists in Nashville, where we would get the hair and makeup done, and we would rent out the studio space and take the nice black and white photos and videos and talk about the album and do all the things. They didn't get anywhere near the amount of impact and that we would see with just an artist holding a phone up in front of their face and just saying how they were doing in that exact moment. Hey, I'm on the bus before the award show. Hey, this is what it looks like behind the scenes as I walk down the red carpet. We spent tens of thousands of dollars on some of that really, really high-end content, only for just these easy things that we did with our phone in front of our face to be the biggest engaging post that we had. So as you look at this list and you look at those 6 words, the biggest thing that we all kind of have a general sense and an idea of who our target audience is. And we really need to just focus really super narrow when we get into TikTok, just super narrow. One thing that you do really well over and over and over again. And for when I look at my TikTok, just in general, I took exactly all of these things that these artist managers were saying about being consistent and about starting narrow. And I got on the app and I focused mine just solely on radio. It was all about radio at that point. And I didn't interact with a post that didn't have anything to do with radio. I made sure I was only posting things that were relevant to radio, posting value that was relevant to radio, and content that was in the moment, content that was thought through a little bit more, but just giving a lot of value. And a lot of times it's just me on my phone in my office, like you see me right now, just doing this and just giving value to people. And I can't tell you how many times I've had people come back to me and say, hey, I saw your post. And I can't tell you on the flip side how many times my kids' friends come over and go, I follow you on TikTok and you're really boring. That's perfect. That's what we want. We want to be boring on TikTok. So I want you to think of TikTok this way. Everybody says, oh, it's just another social media platform. Yes, it is, but it's social media that is built into this really robust entertainment platform. And when you think of it as an entertainment platform, I'm going to get on and I'm going to show value in my business to my target audience over and over and over again. When you think about it that way, you're not going to go out and invite your family and your friends and your cousins and your neighbors to all come like your TikTok page. You're going to go out and you're just going to interact with people that are in your lane of business. So if you are in the business of vintage clothing, we're going to search vintage clothing on TikTok, and you're just going to interact with vintage clothing for a while, and you're going to find after time that it's just going to come back to you over and over and over again. And then those people that are searching out vintage clothing are going to get served up everything that is vintage clothing, including your message. That's the beauty of TikTok versus everywhere else, is that once TikTok figures out what you like, it will serve it up to you over and over again. And I'll give you one example of that as well. I have a former employee who got out of the business. He was part of the same COVID class cut that we were about 3 years ago, almost to the day. And he got out of the business. He became a sober life coach. And so to support him, I would like his page. I would just like his post. Comment, way to go, Chris. Way to go. Way to go. You're launching a business. You're doing all the same things I'm doing. Just a lot of support. All of a sudden, my TikTok account was flooded with sober life coaching. And I don't know about you guys, I like a good margarita at the end of the day sometimes. And I like to have spotted cow. I make the border run very often to come grab a 12er when I can. But so I had to kind of get out of that space. Same thing with supporting teachers during COVID. Like, you started to like teachers during COVID. You got hyper delivered teachers. But so you cut out all the stuff that doesn't matter to anything except your business. I took all of my sports and comedy clips and marketing, nerdy stuff, home improvement, running marathons, all that stuff, and I put it on a separate account. This account, my Kenny J Radio account, solely focused on radio. And that's the part that I can't stress enough to you, to make sure that you're just very, very narrow in your approach when you're interacting and when you're posting.
So I like this because there's a to-do list here that he's talking about, right? Everyone, first of all, get a TikTok account, number one. The second one is don't invite your friends and family, but start inviting the people in your business realm that you want to. And the third thing, I guess, number 2 would actually be follow the people that you are in your same realm that do the same thing that you do. Follow people that are there, right? Kenny, am I right on the to-do list so far?
Absolutely. There it is right there.
Yep, define your niche. And then the other thing is that what I find is one of the biggest questions that I still get from so many business owners is they don't know who their target audience is. And that literally was, I want to say, show number 2 in the Sales and Marketing Rebel workshop with Pat Miller. So if you're in the collective and you're listening to this and you haven't seen that one yet, I do highly recommend going back. And actually, that's your homework. Your homework is to go back. If you don't know who your ideal client or your target market is, go back, listen to the interview that I did with Pat. And there's 2 words I'll say out loud, so it gets you like motivated to do that. Demographic and psychographic. They're 2 different things that you would need to know them both for ideal client. So as you build your TikTok profile and you build your TikTok audience, it's good to know who that ideal client is. So go back and listen to Pat's interview. It's really, really a good way of figuring that out. Okay, here's the funny thing about Zoom. I don't know what I'm doing, but every once in a while, Zoom just decides to raise my hand. I don't know if I went like this and I'm talking with my hand, it raises my hand. I don't know if that's what's happening, but I just think it's hysterical that for some reason Zoom thinks that I need to raise my hand. Okay, so far, let's see what's happened. Kenny doesn't have great internet. I've muted him on accident and I didn't give him. I'm telling you, I am the hostess with the mostest. Let's just keep going here.
I'm here for it. And I'll tell you what,
high
Lisa,
quality hosting. Thank God Kenny's amazing. Okay.
I'll show up every time you ask. Don't worry.
So, all right. So I love the fact that you're giving us guardrails. I know that's a term that you like to use as far as staying in your lane, right? Using the guardrails as that's considered. So why don't you talk about that just a minute?
Absolutely. And when we're starting out, if I was advising a media client, let's just say it's take your favorite morning show that you hear, and you hear they do the same trivia thing at 8:40 every single day. I would tell them, hey, if you're going to get started on TikTok, you're going to take that 8:40 feature that you do that is really unique and compelling that everybody tunes in for, and you're going to put that on TikTok every single day. You're not going to do dance videos. You're not going to do CapCut theme Juan Pablo, whoever eating sandwiches on the screen and dance videos with your kids. You're not going to do any of that stuff. You are just going to focus in on one thing that is related to your business over and over again that delivers value. Now, I will say it goes in the same vein that is not pictured on the screen, that you have to hook me in the first 5 seconds of TikTok. You remember, people are sitting there with their thumb, they're ready to move. And if you have a very compelling hook line in that first 5 seconds, you have an opportunity to keep me longer. And so as you start to think through the content, we can't kind of get on there with our phone and lollygag around for 20 seconds before we get to the point of what we're actually doing. You just have to think it through, have a little bit of a storyboard in your head of how that's going to go, and go, drop the rock in the lake, let the waves kind of take off. You just have that big headline right up front, and then you work your way through your TikTok. And again, your TikTok may only be 10 seconds. That's okay. That's okay, as long as you're delivering value over and over again.
Yeah, what I love is that recently I've been having conversations with my business coach and the person who's helping me with my marketing. And the term superpower keeps coming into my head over and over and over again. So what is that one thing that makes you different from everybody else? What's your superpower? What's that one thing, that unique selling proposition? Or there's a lot of marketing terms for it. But what is the thing that's going to grab their attention and keep it? Yeah, 5 seconds. The average human attention span is 8 seconds. So yeah, you got to figure it out. And I think that's one of the reasons that I always talk about strategy so much, is that it's not that TikTok for business is a bad idea, but doing it just to do it is a bad idea, because it's not going to get you the results that you're looking for. So did you have more slides to show, Kenny?
I have a couple more, and I just want to kind of get everybody through the lull, because I know we have some people here who are just kind of considering getting on for the first time. So by the way, the 2 managers that I talked to, everybody has probably heard the Applebee's on a date night. That was one of the managers I talked to. Walker Hayes is an artist who came to us in country music in 2010 and has not had a hit since. He was stocking shelves at Costco and is now to the point that he's hearing his song at Costco when he goes shopping with his children, and he is making significant money every time that they back the tour truck up to an arena near you. This slide, I think, represents something that we're all going to fall into at some point that we need to kind of outlast. Another great book to read if you haven't read it, small business owner, especially working from home. I had to kind of reinvent my schedule and how I do things. This is from the James Clear book called Atomic Habits. And so when we look at that valley of disappointment, that is what happens. We may have the biggest, debut TikTok or, vertical video that we've ever had, but sometimes we kind of just fall into a lull. And you know what? That's okay. You just have to, this is where the consistency comes in. This is where my biggest recommendation is 30 days in a row, just being consistent, being on the app, replying to the comments, making sure that you're, liking other people's posts and that you're replying to their posts. Again, people that are within your niche. But again, over time, it absolutely happens. And just a quick final, if you want to take a look at my account and my side running account, I haven't done a lot with that lately, but I started it just as a project to prove that, again, this is the way that we need to do this. This is how the algorithm has evolved and changed. When you look at Kenny J Radio on TikTok, it's all radio people. And when I go through and I look at who's viewed the video and I look at who's liked the video and who's commented on it and who's shared it, it's all radio people. And that's all I care about. We get this idea of like, I got to go viral and I'm not going to spend the time on this unless I, get 15 million views on my video. I don't want you to think about it that way. Again, it goes back to starting narrow and really just thinking, who can we impact? These are my customers. These are people that I am having an impact on day in and day out by giving them value. And that's who we need to focus on. For you, it is going to be your business owner. So I started the running account, by the way, because I'm going to find the intersection of radio and running and an app and something at some point, somewhere. I just haven't quite figured that out yet. That's kind of the next level of my business at some point that I'm going to have fun with. But I can't do that on my radio account. I can't post a video of me going to a bubbler in March and it not being turned on, but yet it's like 75 degrees outside, because it's not about radio, but that's perfect for running. So again, put all your hobbies and all your other things on different accounts.
So Susie asked the question, can you create more than one account with the same email?
I don't believe you can, but hopefully you have a website that you can sign up as many emails as you possibly can, and as many different email addresses as you possibly can, and do it. I absolutely would do it.
That's a good question. So it's easy to set up, right? It shouldn't take too long to set up a TikTok. And then the first thing to do is set it up. The second thing is to start following people that you want to follow and follow clients, maybe, and ideal customers that you want to build your audience, right? That's kind of the way that we stick narrow, stay in your lane. And it's interesting because I love when you use the word guardrails, when you talk, I love it because it's like, that's what I think of. Am I going off the rails? Yeah, I did it again. Yeah. We got to turn off that feature because quite honestly, all I ever do is talk with my hands. Anyway.
No, you're spot on. And what happens is if you take that first 2 weeks before you ever even post anything and you go and find what people are doing, you're going to see what's successful. You're going to start to understand like, okay, hey, in the first 5 seconds, I was into this video because they said this. You're going to look at video structure. You're just going to look at everything through a different lens that's very unique, and that's going to allow you, again, not to script everything, but just to have a very loose storyboard of what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on the camera. I'm going to say A, it's going to lead to B, it's going to lead to C. This is how I end of TikTok. And I could take that vertical video, and if I've got an existing Facebook page and it's relevant to that, let's put it on there in Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, Twitter, and all the other places that we have, YouTube Shorts, all the places that we can post that vertical video.
Okay, Amy has a good question. Is TikTok a marketing avenue for B2B, catching decision makers in their downtime? Has anyone ever seen the success? You know what, Amy, what's so funny is that we're literally going to be talking about that in just a minute. So I love the fact that you're leading into what we're going to be talking about. So one of the things I also I want you to do is if you want to do a one-on-one coaching at the end of the workshop with Kenny and talk about your business specifically when it comes to TikTok, just send me a private message and let me know that you'd like to be the volunteer, which is what happens at the end of every Rebel workshop, is that one person on the call gets to have a one-on-one coaching session with the guest of the hour. So if you'd like to do that, that would be great. Okay. Now, one of the things we also talked about is that you had mentioned before is that, like, don't concern yourself about the likes and don't concern yourself about it going viral and stuff like that. Because what I'm hearing is that you're saying quality over quantity is the most important thing.
And viewers and engagement, 1,000%. Absolutely. I'll take 10 people who like my post who are in radio, as opposed to 100 people who have watched it that have no idea what I'm talking about when I talk about air checks or recurrence or whatever radio jargon that I may be talking about at that moment.
That makes sense, because then people they're like, yeah, he's speaking another language. So great. So we're going for quality over quantity when it comes to our TikToks, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this later on. Okay. So we talked about strategies. When is a good time to start? And then how do you make sure that you stay consistent when it comes to your TikTok strategy?
Start now. Get off the phone. Don't wait. Don't think about it. Don't overthink it. Just, if you don't have an account, sign up the account. And if you, again, take 2 weeks and you just start looking at videos and just start liking videos that are in the same vein and in the same realm of business that you do, that's actually kind of really softball homework. If you think about it, like, hey, the homework from the call today is to get on TikTok and watch it for 2 weeks. That's pretty easy. That's kind of like when they used to roll in the television and the substitute teacher would show some movie, back in the day. So that is about as easy as I can make it for you. But as you're thinking through that first 2 weeks, you have to start really kind of thinking in your head, what am I going to show? I know my target audience. What am I going to show them? What am I going to give that's valuable to them over and over and over again? And for some people, it's a peek behind the business and how you're building a business. For some people, it's solving the pain point that I might have. And that will lead me into Amy's question here in just a second, Lisa, if you're ready to go there.
Go.
So business to business, 1,000%. Yes. I'm a business owner just like you are, and I get people that are showing me all the things that I could do on TikTok if I just hired their virtual assistants. And here's what a virtual assistant can do for you. Take X, A, B, C, D, and E off your plate and allow you to do A, B, and C, and D with your family, go on vacation, Uber your kids to hockey, like all the stuff that we do. So when you think about it from a business to business standpoint, it absolutely is applicable, but it just is, again, how are you solving that pain point? And it is especially beneficial on TikTok because, again, a lot of people use TikTok for their personal entertainment. So we don't put it in the social media bucket as much as we do the bucket of when we do perceptual research on listeners and we're trying to figure out what their habits are and what they're into. We're putting this in the Netflix, Disney Plus, that we're putting this in that bucket, not in the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram bucket. We're putting it in here. And a lot of people, you'd be amazed. I get my kids to bed at 8:30 and I spend an hour on TikTok because that's my television at night. So if you have an opportunity, again, to influence them and hang the banner for your business in their living room, in their bedroom, in their face, at that point, I take it. I think it's a great opportunity.
Excellent. Okay, so we have talked about several things here. First, before don't wait to get started. Get started. Spend 2 weeks kind of studying it, right? It's so funny. It's so funny because when you talked about it, it's like everybody has that like one thing that they do to kind of wind down either at lunchtime or at the end of the day or whatever it is. And some people it's Netflix, some people they go down the rabbit hole of Reels. TikTok's just another one of those avenues to get to where you want to go. So we have reached the part of the Rebel Workshop where we take somebody who wants one-on-one coaching with Kenny. So Michelle, why don't you unmute and ask Kenny a couple of questions about how he can help your business specifically. Why don't you tell him first what you do for a business and introduce yourself, and then we can go from there.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Hi, Kenny. I shifted my business a little while ago, and I'm really focusing on helping nonprofits and mission-driven organizations to continue to grow and flourish without burning out and without getting overwhelmed and having high turnover. Um, right now, I'm focusing more on the leaders and founders of the organizations and not as much like the larger organizations with the staff. Um, yeah, so that's what I do. I feel like a lot of what I do is like really or what I help my clients with is like creating a lifestyle that's like a sustainable lifestyle so they can create the change and the impact that they want to change without sacrificing their life, their family, all that kind of stuff. And so to my point before of like my comment is like having multiple accounts seems overwhelming, and maybe to me, I used to have, well, I still have 2 accounts on Instagram, but I went away from that because I felt like there were so many things that I was posting on both, because so much of what I do in my life is also what I help my clients with. And so it just felt like I was being like fake almost by having 2 accounts, because I couldn't be all of who I was in either of the accounts. I don't know if it's different with TikTok or
1000% yes. 1000% yes. And first of all, Michelle, I'm really glad you're here. And if you haven't followed Michelle's journey in business, I talk about hats off to somebody who's dove into the uncharted waters. You launch private podcasts. Like, I'm just a fan of like your ability to just get out there and to say, hey, I'm gonna try something different, and this is how I'm gonna do it. And you have done, I've followed and I've admired that now since you and I first talked about that 5-6 months ago. But as far as TikTok, it does penalize you. TikTok specifically is going to penalize you if you decide to kind of scattershot multiple things into one account. And so if you look at Kenny J Radio versus Kenny J Runs, I did the Kenny J Runs account just specifically for this argument, for anybody that needed proof in numbers visually to see why this makes sense. So I started the year off with a challenge of, I ran 1 mile on the first, 2 miles on the second, and I was trying to see how far I could get through January with running before I burn out. And when you get to the 10th day, you're running 10 miles, and the 11th day, you're running 11 miles, the 12th day, you're running 12 miles. It's a lot of running, and I got to 12 days. But in that process, I put 250 followers that were specific to running, specific to, these were triathletes and marathon training people and casual runners, just anybody who is just into fitness in general, all started following the page. So that page is set up, it's got a baseline foundation of people who are into that particular topic. So when I go back to that, I will lean into that community of people that are already looking for that kind of content. Whereas when I ran the Chicago Marathon for the first time, I put it all on the Kenny J Radio channel. And, hey, I'm running for the Ronald McDonald House, and hey, can you throw, $10 into the pot, or $1 a mile, or something like that? Nothing ever hit. And then I couldn't figure out why. Well, I got this running stuff out there, and I've got this radio stuff out there, and then here's a TikTok of my daughter and I dancing in the basement, and then I'm coaching my son's hockey team, and I can't figure out why I'm not getting traction with anything. Well, I'm not getting traction with anything because I've just confused the algorithm of TikTok to the point that it doesn't know who I am. So again, that's where it comes back to being really narrow, because again, when you think of TikTok as an entertainment platform with social media built into it, and it's going to serve up what I'm interested in, Michelle, you're going to get, by posting that same content over and over and over again, you're going to get to the people that are looking for that particular content.
So here's a good question. First of all, Michelle's also really already very, very good about the whole video vertical. I mean, she does great videos. She's really good at all that. So it's not like that's something you need to learn. Do you think that practicing vertical videos but before you actually post them is a good idea? I mean, because Michelle's already got it down, and a lot of people here do already do some vertical videos on it. So what do you think? How would you suggest that people aren't comfortable with that, being in that vertical, like to start practice of getting better at it?
You hit it right on the head. So when I was really kind of trying to figure out what I was going to narrow down on when it came to just the radio things, what I started with is I started, I'm a consultant, I'm a coach. And so I started finding radio shows from around the world that were doing content, and then I would grade that. So I would give it, on a scale of 10, I would give stuff grades. And then it just became, oh, hey, I'm going to start giving layers of the value that we give our clients through our consultancy. And so it's, hey, the top 3 things that you need to know when you're thinking about, top 3 things that country listeners want from their country radio station, and how you can then lean into that in a meaningful way on the air. So you start to just think about that stuff. But the great part about once you have that kind of that content wrapped around in your brain, you know who the target audience is, you have a couple of ideas for content, you can film stuff and leave it in your camera roll right on your phone, or you can film it and you can leave it right in the draft section of TikTok or Instagram. You'll leave it right in the draft section and make sure that your microphone looks good, or that your lighting is right, or anything that might just be a little off with what you have. Just make sure you're in the right environment that you feel comfortable. Practice absolutely that first 2 weeks when we talk about going through and liking people that are in your lane of business. This is absolutely something that you can do parallel to that as you ramp up your TikTok opportunity.
Yeah, it's just like everything else. If you want to become a public speaker, practice. You got to practice. You got to record it. Just like when I do the power pitch, practice, right? So it's all about, perfecting your presence when it comes to the video verticals and things like that. So anyway, all right. Thank you very much. Michelle, did that answer your question? Did you have anything else?
No, I think that was good. Thanks.
Okay, good. All right. So now it's either, do you have any additional questions? We're going to start wrapping up here. Kenny, do you have anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to make sure we did talk about?
I don't think
Anybody
so.
have questions?
Yeah, I'll just say if there's questions, and if anybody thinks of questions through this process, it's not me trying to sell you. I'm just open for business to help small business owners be successful. So please ask the questions. Like Susie, when you talk about your email, when you go and open your email and you go into GoDaddy and you can just start, like, there's kind of like a bulk thing. You can just start doing it. Do 10 of them right out of the gate. Like I've got, all of them set up for like Hulu and Paramount and all those different ones that you just get them all done in one shot, and then you have them all there. It's Panny 1, Susie 1, Panny 2, Susie 2, you go through and you get all those email addresses set up. But as far as anybody that may think of questions along the way, or just kind of runs into a brick wall of like, hey, I've been trying to think of content. And I think that's the thing when I talk about TikTok with talent at a radio station, and then I get 2, 3, 4 weeks down the line, they kind of go, I kind of ran out of ideas. I know we were supposed to do this one thing, but I was thinking of like, how can I kind of just maybe expand it a little bit? And you do get to a point where you expand it a little bit, but content brainstorming and just writing down all the ideas about a particular topic until you run out, until they get silly, until they get stupid. If you ever want to do that with somebody, as part of the, I'm in the Idea Collective. You see me from time to time, please reach out. Happy to hop on a Zoom, a call, whatever, to do that with you. That's my favorite part of what we do, just being able to brainstorm topics. And then you kind of go, oh yeah, I'll take that and run with that this way.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you also have the Slam and other Idea Collective ways to be able to get that out there. So yes, be sure to connect with Kenny on all of his social media platforms for sure. So, all right, if we don't have any other questions, comments, sarcastic remarks, as Pat likes to say. All right. So in the month of May, we're going to be having Amy Pierquet from Waterfront Graphic Design on to talk about SEO and Google Analytics and how it is how do I say it? It's the secret. It's a little tiny secret that nobody knows that really supercharges your website. So just knowing a couple of tweaks that you can do to both your Google Analytics, your Google profile, as well as your SEO can really help you with getting found when people are searching for what you do. So first of all, Thank you so much, Kenny, for being on the show. I truly appreciate it. I love having conversations with you. Like, he and I could literally go on for hours talking about marketing, because marketing geeks just can do that. So it was really fun learning from you. And my son's been trying to get me on TikTok for about 2 months now. So I guess I just have to go do it.
It's gonna happen. Water's warm. Let's go.
I know. I've been avoiding it. Anyway, so thank you, Kenny, so much. And thank you to our sponsors, Bank 59 and Quick Trip. Without you, I don't know where we'd be. So until next time, have a great month. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody.